I will not die, but live, and will proclaim what the Lord has done. Psalm 118, verse 17. God said beauty for ashes, and He meant it. He took my pain and turned it into power. Now, I do more than makeup. I speak life. I pray while I blend. I minister while I contour. This is kingdom work in every detail. This is ministry through makeup. Hello, and welcome to Ministry Through Makeup. Here, I blend my passion for beauty with my walk with God, sharing tutorials, testimonies, and moments of transformation inside and out. Whether you're here for a glam look or a word of encouragement, there's a seat at this table for you. As you can see in the title, in today's video, I'm going to talk about how I went from attempting suicide a few years ago to being baptized this past June. Let's get into it. Growing up, I always felt out of place. I felt like I didn't belong. No matter where I went or who I was around, I've always felt like I didn't fit in. On top of that, I was always treated differently by my family. I would watch them treat others one way, but would never do the same for me. I'll give an example. I have 4 siblings, but me and one of my brothers have the same mom and dad. Whenever I went to my dad about something, I was given every excuse on why it couldn't be done. But then, if my brother asked him for something, I watched him jump through hoops to make it happen. I was never daddy's little girl, even though he was present and lived in the house. My dad was not the only person to behave this way. My entire family did it to me, actually. I remember trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Why is it that people can show up for others, but never for me? I think it would have been easier if they didn't show up for anyone at all, because then it would be obvious that they are just incapable of doing for others. It would have been on them and their character. But when you watch people show love and support for everyone else, but could never do it when it came to you, it makes you think you did something wrong. I was always on the chubby side, so I even considered maybe that was the reason I was treated differently. I went over every scenario in my head because I really just wanted to know why. Why can't you love me? Why can't you be there for me? Why am I not enough? This led me to being extremely insecure about myself because I believed that because of their actions, there must be something wrong with me, even if I didn't know exactly what that was. Now, to give you guys a little background, I grew up in a church which was located in New Jersey. Because I've known them since birth, I considered them all my second family. I remember anytime I went over there, I felt so much peace. I felt seen. I felt like I could breathe. I would go over there and stay multiple nights. Considering they all lived in New Jersey and I lived in Philly, most of the time they didn't feel like crossing the bridge, so I would just stay over. I loved it over there. So much so, I remember I would cry when it was time to go home. I hated being home. I hated how it made me feel. I always wanted to go to Jersey. It got to the point that my mom started using that as my punishment. Oh, you didn't do what I told you? Now you aren't going to Jersey. Fast forward, it was time for me to head off to college. I was super excited. I felt like if I could just get away from this house, everything would get better. But little did I know, the enemy was just getting started. As I was adapting to the college life, I actually wasn't feeling better. If anything, it got worse. See, I was the first person in my family to go to college, so I didn't have anyone to tell me what to expect. It was a lot. Remember, I told you guys, my family never supported me. Just before leaving for college, I brought myself a car. So I ended up driving myself to school, which was 4 hours away, and moving in all on my own. As I got to campus, I was immediately triggered because I watched everyone else show up with their families, get help moving in, saying their goodbyes, and then there was just me, alone, doing everything by myself. Moving forward, classes started and the college life hit me hard. Keep in mind, I didn't have any help. I had no support, so I was doing everything on my own. I had to get a part-time job on campus because I had no money. My car was having more problems than I ever thought was possible. I was drowning in schoolwork. It felt like every week after an exam, I was studying to take another one. Plus, when my mom did call, she didn't call to see how I was doing. Instead, she would call me with drama that was going on back at home. It got to the point I stopped answering her calls because with all that I had going on, the last thing I wanted to hear was about people that I didn't even talk to. The only support I had was from my pastor. We had an arrangement to talk every Tuesday, and honestly, that was a highlight of my week. I would be triggered because my roommate would talk to her family almost after every class. She'd also receive care packages like every other week, and it made me sad because it was a constant reminder of what I didn't have. My roommate was someone I went to middle school, high school, and currently college with. We were always together. That was my girl. Well, at least I thought it was. I noticed her being shady towards me for almost as long as I've known her, but it wasn't until college when I realized she was never my friend. We met another set of friends and became a group of 4. A situation transpired between me and one of the other girls, so they stopped talking to me. And as a result, my friend picked a side, and it was theirs. So, on top of me already being depressed, I now was grieving the end of a friendship. I couldn't take it anymore. I remember receiving a text from my cousin from the Jersey family, and she was saying how proud she was and how loved I was. I was sitting in the car when I read it, and I remember I burst into tears because I didn't feel that at all. I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel seen. I felt all alone. And at that moment, I just decided it was too much. I went back to my dorm and took a handful of pills. As I sat at my desk, my former friend walked in. Even though our friendship was sinking, we were still roommates. So I ended up telling her what I had just did, and she immediately called 911. The ambulance arrives, and she rides to the hospital with me. As we were on our way there, I was waiting for something to happen, but I had no reaction to the pills. Not one. After being at the hospital for a few hours, I was discharged and went back to the dorms. At that moment, I told myself, I'm going to try to live. Fast forward until the end of 2024, I started to feel that suicidal urge creep up again. But this time, on January 1st, 2025, I told God, if you don't show up, I won't make it. And I heard him say, seek me. And that moment changed my life. See, I was going after everything to make me feel better except God. So I was like, okay, Lord. And I started seeking him every day. It is currently August 2025, and I have quit smoking marijuana. I became abstinent. I had my last session of therapy. I created Ministry Through Makeup. I moved to Texas, and I got baptized. After learning more about God and establishing a relationship with him, He has given me multiple revelations. See, I was always chosen. I was always set apart. That is why I have always felt out of place. I am not of this world, so the world could never satisfy me. I learned that I was called to break the generational curses in my family. So I now see it's not that my family wasn't there for me, it was that they couldn't be there for me. I was called, I was handpicked by God. Therefore, He is my source, He is my fuel. So, how could I expect to be supported by generations of family members that's a part of the curses I'm called to break? That is why I felt so much peace when I would go be with my church family in New Jersey. Everything they did included God. They would go to church multiple days out the week. They would only listen to gospel music. They would pray before doing anything. God was in the center of everything they did. That's why I always wanted to go over there. My spirit was being fed. I just didn't know it at the time. And not to mention, out of everyone in the church, I was closest to the pastor. To be honest, I feel like that alone says everything. I now see that everything I've endured was a part of my process. It contributed to the person I am today. I have encountered many storms, but not one of them broke me. I came out stronger each time. The suicide attempt only happened because I was facing everything alone when I didn't have to. If I started seeking God earlier, I don't think it would have changed my story, but it definitely would have made it easier to deal with. God uses trials and tribulations to mold us into becoming who He has called us to be. Romans 5:3-4. And let's be honest, some lessons can only be learned through pain. I used to ask God, why is this happening to me? But now I thank Him. I can now see the purpose of it all. He knew I could weather the storm, which is why He assigned it to me. He knew I was the one for the job. Building my relationship with God has literally changed my life. I think differently. I walk differently. I handle things differently. Because now I'm in connection with my source. See, I was looking for fulfillment in worldly things. But because I was chosen by God, it is Him and only Him that can satisfy my soul. I want to encourage anyone that may be in a storm, anyone whose story sounds similar to mine. God is the answer. He will bring you peace, joy, comfort in the middle of chaos. He loves you. He will protect you. He will guide you. He will carry you. But He will not force you. Our Father gives us free will. He lets us decide. So you have to go after Him. You have to want Him, not just for the blessings, but because of who He is. He is the way, the truth, and the light, and only He can save you. Trust me, I know. I tried everything to make me feel better, and nothing worked but God. So, to anyone that feels like they're on the edge, please try God first before you decide to jump. I'm 100% certain you will not regret it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Whether it was the makeup or the testimony, I hope you took something from this video. My goal is to encourage others and to shed light on how good God is. And if He can change my life, He can change yours too. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay on the lookout for the next video. Or, better yet, how about just hit that bell button to be notified the next time I post? Love you all. Mwah.